You were never from here. 12 signs, the 144,000, live in a body that doesn't feel like home. Have you ever sat in a room full of people? People who love you, people who mean you no harm, and still felt completely, utterly alone. Not lonely, alone. Like everyone around you was speaking one language, and you were hearing something else entirely. Like there was a frequency being broadcast somewhere that only you could detect, and pretending you didn't hear it was quietly wearing you out. If that's you, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share is going to reach something inside you that you've probably never had words for. There is a group of people described in the book of Revelation, a people set apart before the foundations of the world, marked not just spiritually, but in the way they experience life itself, sealed, chosen, and deeply, profoundly out of place in the world they were born into. Not because something went wrong, but because something went right. Because you were never supposed to fully belong here. This was never your final home. And the signs of that calling, they show up not just in your prayers or your worship. They show up in your body, in your nervous system, in the way a crowded room drains you, in the way your spirit lifts the moment you're alone with God, in the way the world has always felt like a coat that doesn't quite fit, like it was made for someone else's measurements. So today, I want to walk through 12 signs that the 144,000 carry in their physical, emotional, and spiritual experience. Signs that what has felt like a burden is actually a blueprint. What has felt like a flaw is actually a feature. What has felt like exile is actually positioning. Let's go. Sign number 1. You feel things at a depth that most people around you simply don't reach. Not just emotions, spiritual atmosphere. You walk into a church and you sense what's really happening before a single word is spoken. You sit across from a stranger and you feel the weight they're carrying not because they told you, but because something in you already knows. You watch the news, and it's not just sadness you feel, it's grief. Ancient grief. Like you're mourning something bigger than what's on the screen. Something that runs deeper than any single event. People call you sensitive. They say you feel too much. They hand that word to you like it's a weakness. Like there's a dial inside you that needs to be turned down. But here's what they don't understand. You're not feeling too much. You're feeling exactly what you were designed to feel. You were made with a wider spiritual register than the average person. What looks like fragility from the outside is actually a form of discernment, a built-in radar for what's real and what isn't, for what's holy and what's hollow, for what's alive in the spirit, and what's just going through the religious motions. The prophet Jeremiah didn't choose to feel the weight of a nation. God said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Jeremiah didn't sign up for that depth of feeling. It was placed in him before he took his first breath, and it cost him enormously. People rejected him. He sat alone. He wept over cities that didn't weep for themselves. But he was not malfunctioning. He was fulfilling exactly what he was built to do. You didn't choose this either. It was placed in you. The cost of carrying it doesn't mean it was a mistake. Sign number 2. You have always had a complicated relationship with belonging. Think back even as a child. You got along with people well enough. You weren't necessarily the outcast. You could show up and participate and laugh and be present. But there was always a part of you watching from just slightly outside the circle. A part that couldn't fully cross over into whatever everyone else seemed to share so naturally, so effortlessly. Like they had a code you'd never been given. You've been in groups you liked, churches you loved, friendships that meant something. And still, that invisible wall was there. Not hostility, not rejection, just a gap, a quiet awareness that you were wired differently. For years, you probably thought that was a problem to be solved, a wound to be healed. But what if that gap wasn't a malfunction? What if it was a boundary? What if God drew a line around you early, not to isolate you, but to preserve you? to keep you from being fully absorbed into something that would have diluted what he placed inside you. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace. By every measure, he should have become Egyptian in his heart, but he never was. There was always something in him that didn't belong there. That separateness was not accidental. It was architectural. God was keeping something intact for a purpose that wouldn't be revealed for decades. Sign number 3. Your body holds tension that has no clear physical source. You take care of yourself reasonably well. You're not living under any obvious extraordinary pressure right now, and yet your body carries this low, constant hum of alertness, a tightness in your chest, your shoulders, somewhere along your spine that you can't fully explain and can't fully shake, no matter what you do to address it. Not anxiety in the clinical sense, something older than that, something that feels almost like watchfulness, like your body is on watch even when your mind has decided it's time to rest, like you're stationed at a post you never consciously chose but somehow already knew was yours. Many of the chosen carry this. It is the physical signature of a spirit that is awake in a world that is still asleep. Your body is responding to something real, to the tension between the age that is passing and the age that is coming. You feel the friction of that transition in your nervous system before you have categories for it in your theology. This is not something to push through or dismiss. It's something to steward, to bring before God in the quiet hours. What your body is telling you is not nothing. Sign number 4. Silence is not empty to you. It is full. When most people get quiet, they get uncomfortable. They reach for the phone, the TV, the podcast, anything to fill the space before the space fills them with something they don't know what to do with. But for you, silence is where you actually come alive. It's where the competing noise finally stops, and the voice that was trying to reach you all along can finally get through. You have probably had more genuine encounters with God in ordinary, unremarkable silence, in your car on a long drive, in your kitchen before the coffee is finished, in the 10 minutes before the house wakes up, than in most amplified, produced worship services combined. Not because church isn't real, but because you were built to receive in stillness. Your spirit doesn't need amplification. It needs space. This is also why the noise of modern life is particularly exhausting for you. In a way, it isn't for everyone. You were designed for depth, and depth requires silence, the way lungs require air, not occasionally, but constantly, reliably, as a basic condition for staying alive. Elijah met God, not in the wind that tore the mountains apart, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. After all of that passed, there was a still, small voice, and God was in that. Only someone tuned to that specific frequency would have heard it. You are. Sign number 5. You carry a sense of spiritual responsibility that nobody handed you. Not something you signed up for. Not a role you campaigned for. It just sits in you, this weight of intercession, this ache for the people around you, this quiet awareness that your prayers are somehow load-bearing, that if you stop praying for certain people, something important in their life goes unguarded. You've woken up at 2 in the morning with someone specific on your heart and prayed with an urgency that surprised even you. You've interceded for people you barely know with an intensity that felt almost disproportionate, and found out later the timing meant something. That is the mark of an intercessor, not a title you earn through dedication or consistency, a nature you were given before you had the vocabulary to describe it. And it is exhausting when you don't understand what it is, when you think it's just your personality being anxious or over-involved. But the moment you recognize it for what it is, the moment you realize this weight is God, trusting you with something precious, it shifts from burden to honor, and that shift changes everything. Sign number 6. The world's distractions have never had the grip on you that they seem to have on everyone else. Not because you're more virtuous, not because you've mastered some spiritual discipline others haven't, but because at a deep level, the things that occupy most people's attention and energy and desire, the entertainment cycles, the social climbing, the accumulation, the relentless noise of culture and consumption, have always felt thin to you, like food that fills the stomach but leaves you hungry again an hour later. Like color that fades in the wash. You've tried to care about what everyone else cares about. Sometimes you've succeeded for a season, but it never lasts. There's always a pullback. To the questions that matter. To the silence. To God. If the world's pleasures have always tasted slightly off to you, if you've always carried a low-level dissatisfaction that even your best circumstances couldn't cure, that is not ingratitude. That is orientation. You are calibrated for something else. And a compass that is correctly calibrated will always point north, even when north costs you something. Sign number 7. Your suffering has had a strange quality of preparation in it. This one is harder to say, but I'm going to say it plainly because you need to hear it. The hardest seasons of your life were not random. The betrayal that came from inside the church, from people who should have been safe. The loneliness that stretched on longer than you thought a person could survive and still remain intact. The seasons where God felt completely silent. The grief that nobody around you seemed to understand the depth of. None of it was wasted. Every piece of it was working in you, building something that comfort cannot build. Compassion that comes from having actually sat in the dark, not just read about darkness. Authority that comes from walking out of the fire without the smell of smoke. Wisdom that can only be purchased through loss, that cannot be acquired any other way, no matter how many books you read. Joseph's pit was not a detour from his destiny. It was part of the road. The prison was not a delay. It was a preparation room, where God was building the specific kind of humility that keeps power from destroying a person. What was built in those years could not have been produced in comfort. Your suffering has been producing something too. Don't look at it only through the lens of what it cost you. Ask God to show you what it built. Now I need to stop here for a second, because what we just walked through together, those 7 signs, that is not content I put together in an afternoon. That is years of conversations. Years of sitting across from people who came to me confused, exhausted, wondering if something was wrong with them. People who had been carrying what you're carrying right now. This weight of being different, of not quite fitting, of feeling things nobody around them could understand. My name is George, and I've spent a long time studying what it means to be set apart in this specific way. Not as a theological concept, but as a lived experience. The grief that has no name, the body that holds tension with no source. The silence that is more alive than most rooms you've ever sat in. I know these signs from the inside, not just from the scripture. And because I know how disorienting it is to carry all of this without a map, I prepared something. Something I want to give you right now, as a kind of companion to everything we're uncovering today. It's called the Secret Protocol. 7 keys, not concepts to study, but actual keys that open what heaven sealed inside you before you ever took your first breath. Things that explain why you think differently, why you feel differently, why the world has never quite felt like home. It comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it in the same quiet where God tends to meet you in your car, in your early morning, in the still hours when everything else is asleep. And with it, you receive the Awakening Map, a guide through the 5 seasons of spiritual awakening that will show you, with real precision, exactly where you are right now in your journey, and what the Spirit is preparing to release in this next season. This is the resource I wish someone had handed me years ago. The link is pinned in the first comment, but only for a limited time. If something in you recognized itself today, don't walk past that. Respond to it. Now let's keep going. 5 more signs. Sign number 8. You have an unusual sensitivity to spiritual atmospheres in places and spaces. You walk into some buildings and something in you goes quiet and reverent before anyone says a word. You walk into others and something in you pulls back without fully knowing why. You walk into certain conversations and feel the temperature of the room shift, not because of what is being said, but because of what is moving underneath. People around you often don't notice. They're reading the visible. You're reading something else. This is a form of discernment the early church understood and practiced the ability to perceive what is happening in the spirit before it becomes visible on the surface. To know when peace is present, to know when something is off before you can prove it. To feel when a spirit of religion has replaced the Spirit of God in a room that still looks exactly the same to everyone else. And this means you have never been able to simply go through the motions in worship or prayer. Your spirit refuses to pretend something is alive when it isn't. That inability to perform a faith you're not actually feeling is not stubbornness. It is spiritual integrity. Something to protect, not apologize for. Sign number 9. You have struggled at different points in your life with a grief you couldn't explain. Not grief over a specific loss you can point to. A broader mourning, an ache that rises in you during worship, or when the light hits just right at the end of the afternoon, or when a piece of music finds the exact frequency of something you've been carrying without knowing it. Homesickness, but you're sitting in your own living room. You're not missing a place you've been. You're missing something you've never quite arrived at. Paul wrote that the whole creation is groaning, leaning forward toward a redemption that is coming, but has not yet fully arrived. Some people feel that more acutely than others. Some people are built with a spiritual homesickness for the age that is still on its way. If you have felt this ache, you are not depressed. You are not ungrateful for what you have. You are a person who is deeply calibrated to eternity, and eternity is not fully here yet. That longing is not a sign something is wrong with you. It is a sign something in you is very, very right. Sign number 10. People come to you in their worst moments, and you weren't the one who announced yourself as available. They just find you. The co-worker who never talks about faith shows up at your desk on the worst day of her year. The neighbor you barely know knocks on your door at an hour that makes no social sense. The old friend who you haven't spoken to in 2 years calls out of nowhere and says they don't know why. They just needed to hear your voice. You didn't build a formal ministry. You didn't put out a sign. But people in crisis find you with a consistency that cannot be explained by coincidence. This is because something in the spirit is visible to the broken that polished performance always misses. The truly broken are drawn to what they can sense but cannot name, to the genuine, to the grace that has been tested and did not collapse, to the peace that is real and not rehearsed. You are a place of refuge that you never advertised. That is not an accident, that is assignment. And the ones God sends to your door are not interruptions to your life. They are part of why you were placed exactly where you are. Sign number 11. You have been misread, misunderstood, and misjudged by people who should have known better. By leaders in the church, by family, by people inside the body of Christ who you trusted. You've been called proud when you were simply clear. Called rebellious when you were simply obedient to a voice they couldn't hear. Called difficult when you were simply discerning. Called a problem when you were actually a solution that didn't fit their container. And that has cost you real things. Relationships that mattered. Positions that were taken or never offered. The simple daily comfort of being understood by the people who were supposed to know you best. Hold this close. Jesus was misread by the most religiously educated people of his generation. Joseph was misread by his own brothers. David was overlooked by his own father. That pattern runs all the way through Scripture, without a single exception. You are not the first. The misunderstanding did not derail your calling. It confirmed it. What God preserves outside the walls of human approval is always what he sends back in to carry what the institution could not produce on its own. Sign number 12. There is a knowing in you that runs deeper than your theology. You could not always explain it in chapter and verse. You might not always be able to win it in a Bible study debate. But there is a layer of knowing in you about God, about the season you're in, about your own calling, about what is gathering on the horizon that lives underneath your words. That was there before you had language for it. That sometimes rises in you as a quiet, unshakable certainty in the exact moments when everything around you is loudest, with reasons to doubt. And you've learned through years of costly obedience to trust it. Not because you're trusting yourself, but because you've followed that knowing often enough to see what happens on the other side. That is not presumption. That is the witness of the Spirit that Paul described. The Spirit itself bearing witness with your spirit that you are a child of God. It is the seal, the mark, The quiet signature of heaven written in a place no circumstance can reach and no voice can erase. Not all of God's communication comes through scripture at the kitchen table or sermons on Sunday morning. Some of it comes through that deep inner knowing, the thing in you that already knows before your mind has reasoned its way to an answer. Learn to honor it. Learn to protect it. Learn to return to it when the world is loudest. 12 signs. 12 ways the body and spirit of the chosen reveal what they carry long before they have words for what they are. If you recognized yourself in more than a few of these, sit with that for a moment. Not to build a case for yourself, not to build a wall between you and the people around you, but to let the recognition do what it was always meant to do. Free you from the exhaustion of trying to become something you were never designed to be. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too sensitive, too intense, too much, or not enough. You were made for something specific, and the very things that have made you feel out of place in this world, the depth, the ache, the sensitivity, the weight you carry, that gap you've always felt, those are the exact things that make you effective for what is coming. Not in spite of them, because of them. Stop apologizing for being different. Start asking God what the difference is for. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 12 signs hit closest to home. Was it that unnamed grief that rises without warning? The people who find you in crisis even though you never offered yourself? The knowing that lives deeper than your theology can explain? Tell me the one that stopped you. I read every single comment, and I want to know exactly where you are right now.